beckons a destination, ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a destination.
Here we go, rock and roll. You like that? Galahad was no more. Kinda true, huh?
Yeah.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Look at that. Live enough to, hey, Brian, hey, Walt, hey, Rocks. Good to see you all. Sorry it's under sad circumstances with the Eagles losing, but what are we going to do?
Yep.
It happens. Thanks a lot, everyone, for coming on. I'm Jake. Here, look, I got DM Marco on. Got a lot of fun stuff tonight. Got an amazing announcement at the end of the evening. We're going to save that, though, as like we didn't have enough great new stuff coming up, but we got some other really a great one, really good announcement coming up. So tonight we're going to delve into the dark arts, the darker side, and it's really funny. If you guys have been following any of the Facebook posts I put up for ads, people are all over the place in these classes. People are yelling at Leonard because you can't, the one you can't make a player character, and just all sorts of crazy stuff. And I was like, wow, man. So how's it sound? Does it all sound good, Mark? Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Nice big, we're still using Zoom. So I know Bill the Master Crafter is ill tonight. He's got a stomach virus. So we won't be seeing him on. But let me jump right into this. So I looked back and I tried to figure out a timeline. It was really difficult because I remember this. With so we got 3 classes we're going to talk about tonight. So dirty arts, yeah. Well, Walt, you're a purveyor of 2 of these, so you're the expert on this. So stay on there, and you're going to be putting some input in. I guarantee it. I couldn't figure out when we kind of made the Necromancer, and I thought it was an old class, and I looked, and I'm like, it's not that old. Because I looked through, and 2nd edition, I knew it wasn't before 2nd edition came out, because we had a, they broke all the spellcasting classes into different spheres at that time, and Necromancy was one of them, and then that was cool. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Then we got From the Ears set, where the Ears priests were in there, and the Ears priests had the sphere of necromancy in there. And I'm thinking to myself, this would be a really cool thing to change it, turn it into its own class. It kind of should be, but there weren't enough spells. Necromancers, there was, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 spells across all the levels, and it just
they were still building an awful lot of it.
It just didn't make sense to even try to make a class out of it. And then I looked back in my notes and went to this Dragon 76, and that is our first sighting of anything in this dark arts that you or I or anyone, we're not going to go super old, but that's the sighting of this. Once again, another class by Leonard Lakofka, the Death Master. All right, and the Death Master was a class that was like, wow, this is like a mega powerful NPC, and I looked through all the abilities of this, and Leonard does a good job on this one too, and they got some unbelievable powers, and I still think we didn't have a Necromancer out at this point. I don't believe so. This came out on August 2nd, 1983. There's no way we had a Necromancer then. I don't think we had do we have a Necromancer at Temple of Elemental Evil when we were down seeing you in Virginia? I don't think so either.
No.
So
my recollection of the Necromancer wasn't until it was in the mid-90s, I want to say.
Right.
It finally got brought about, and typical fashion,
well, you're chopping real bad. Yeah.
So.
I lost you there, Mark. You chopped up real bad. That was weird.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I forgot something as you're talking. There you go. I got to add on some followers that we got since Thursday night. But go ahead. Yeah. So I think it was in the early '90s that we actually finalized this, and that's a good movie, Melvin and Howard. Yeah, it had to be at some point in the 90s, and so this Dragon Magazine article comes out in Dragon 76, and I know we used it a lot. We used this thing really as a brutal hammer on Monty Hall characters. And man, there are some nasty abilities. And the Spectre one is the nastiest thing of all. It drains like damage permanently from your hit point total. I was like, oh my god, some of these abilities are crazy. So I think when I saw this, I got the idea we got to get a Necromancer class that we can play. Because they don't all necessarily have to be pure evil like the Deathmaster. Deathmaster's a chaotic evil class. And this belongs nowhere in the hands of a player character. So this and the Anti-Paladin belong nowhere in the hands of a player character at all.
Agreed.
Okay? Just no discussion on it. And they got, the Deathmaster has a lot of spells that are just regular magic user spells, like Cone of Cold. And I was, so, I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but...
Leonard must have been having a bad day.
It's very possible. But, you know, we all look up to Leonard and all. And another thing that I didn't realize was Leonard's. I digress a little bit. The set traps ability is Leonard's, too.
Yeah.
Our thieving set traps is his as well.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. So, I think when we got the second edition Player's Handbooks, when they really started dabbling and fiddling around with it, never could come up with enough spells. And came up with, you know, here's our book now. But really had, and if I recall, when we first did this, the Necromancer maybe had 15 spells at most with each level. You know, that was about it. It wasn't a large amount of spells that were out there for the Necromancer. And I looked at it, and I know there was a lot of spells we put in there that shouldn't have been Necromancer spells. The one I remember in particular was Hornung's Baneful Deflector.
Yeah.
Remember we put Wild Mage spells in there because we wanted to fill out the list.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of other spells and a lot of spells and spheres that really shouldn't have been in there. And we tried to make it have its own dedicated list, unlike Elementals, which can pull from. Oh, there's your new picture of your character. Definitely your maester. You like that? That's her.
Oh yeah, I like it a lot. That's perfect.
That's definitely Moraine. I found that. I was like, that's Moraine.
The glasses.
Yes, exactly. We'll talk about the maesters a little bit later, even though it's Bill's specialty. But so we got to a point where Tome of Magic came out and Player's Option came out and started to be able to get more spells. And then I went back through all the Dragon magazines. I called them packet spells. Remember, I just photocopied whatever I could out of the Dragon magazines and found out there were a lot of Necromancer spells in the Dragon magazines that were never published anywhere. And that came out to, I'd say, you know, we were at 15 to 20, and we also didn't have 8th and 9th level spells. We had 7th, just like an Illusionist. So our Necromancer took on Illusionist table for experience, Illusionist spells acquisition, just because it was like one of those subclasses of magic user, but it had its own spell list. I think that's why we used it, and it seemed to work well. Mm-hmm. And I don't think
there's one more reference that you're leaving out.
Okay.
The Great Net Spellbook.
Well, yeah, yes, absolutely. You were absolutely correct. I'm leaving out the first Great Net Spellbook from like the 90s, where it's like, oh my god, I found it. Right? You're absolutely correct.
Yep.
So with that, though, when third edition started coming out, and this Sword and Sorcery, which is up now, series of books, and Necromancer game books came out, that's when, man, we had a ton of spells. Because this little gem, this thing's like one of the toughest books to get. Look at how pristine this thing is. This thing is like gold. I didn't have this till like about 2 years ago. And the Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail of the blue books in second edition by far. I didn't have this, so I didn't have access to the spells in this. There were a lot of Forgotten Realms spells too, in like books, like Pages from the Mages had a bunch. Yeah. So here's the thing. So I went through. It turns out here's the Necromancer spell list. Okay, all right. There's a minimum, and there's a 7th level on the second page. There's like a minimum of 28, 29 spells for each level. Third level is 38. all spells that, so they have their own list, just like an illusionist does. And it is compiled from, get this, 22 different books. I was shocked. I went through this, I was like, oh my God, 22 different books and references have necromancer spells that we've compiled this list from. By far, I mean, a crazy amount. Like, the elementals is probably half that,
Right.
But then start playing it, and it worked. It worked. Now, I know Bill complains all the time they're underpowered, but who plays a straight necromancer?
Right. Yeah, it's usually dual class, if anything, or multi-class.
Right.
Yeah, because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
And just to kind of enlighten, the reason why we talk about a little bit that it is underpowered is the spell lists themselves are actually pretty nasty. The issue is that most of them, if not all of them, are all saving throw, and if you save, it's nothing happens.
Yeah, or negates. Yeah, absolutely. That is true, but not all of them.
Not so bad, but at upper levels, they kind of come ineffectual many times.
Yeah. See, I know you say that, but I just think I'll give you an example of a spell. Vampiric Touch has no saving throw. You touch, it hits automatic, and through a Spectral Hand, which is the bread and butter spell of the Necromancer's a second level spell, Spectral Hand, because it's a hovering hand, goes out 200 yards, and you can cast any touch spell through that. And we allow spells like Burning Hands as well through it, and Raven Feeble and all that,
Right.
So, I don't know. We still differ on that, but to heal up yourself, you touch a 10th level Necromancer is getting back 5d6, no saving throw. I guess. I mean, it's semantics at that point.
Well, but you got to remember, you got to roll the hit with it. They're on the mage table now. Yeah. Granted, if I remember correctly, it goes through armor, so it's like
10 plus pluses
and either pluses. They don't get actual armor for armor class.
Yeah, and also through all right. So touching through a Spectral Hand's a +2.
Right.
Yeah, Battle Touch as a feat or an ability proficiency we have, it's +4. So I don't know. I guess it's a play style choice, but and we don't get to the point where that 6th level spell comes into play, because Abby Dalzum's Horror Wiltings and Necromancer spells die 8 per level. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Death spells up there, of course. There's just some nasty spells when you get up that high. Flesh Shiver, Walt brought up at 5th, is really a nasty spell.
Yeah, the biggest one is always Flesh Shiver. That's the nastiest thing. Why don't you go ahead and describe it?
All right, so Flesh Shiver is this kind of spell. You cast it. The Necromancer casts it. It's at range. It's not touch. 5 saving throws. Now they're con saves. All right? You roll your con. If you say you have 14 con. If you roll over that, first save, right arm. If you fail, it breaks. Left arm. Right leg. Left leg. Neck. Those are the 5s. 5 con saves. And if you fail any one of them, it's a bad thing for you, especially the neck. You'll be paralyzed. It's a nasty spell. It's 5th level. Necromancer only. Necromancers have a lot of great spells to enhance the undead. And if anyone watched Thursday Night, they saw Animate Dead Animals as a 1st level spell. And, you can take a 2-hit die giant toad, becomes 3-hit die with that. Now it loses its special abilities when it had alive, but it's a one higher hit die zombie. So, there's some good spells with the Necromancer. You can multi-class it as a fighter, cleric, thief, or assassin, right?
Yep.
You can dual class it. Humans, half elves, and elves, including dark elves, can be a Necromancer. So, and we haven't even talked about the coolest ability, which is kind of rare, but that we're doing now. You have some abilities, and it's called, in this gem of a book, the Complete Book of the Necromancers is where this came out of. And there's some good spells in here, too. You have what's called the special powers and the price. And there's a random table, and it starts at 9th level, and then you get you can choose an ability every 3 levels beyond that, 12th, 15th, where you can get a very nasty special ability. And so let's just take a look at one of them. I'll go right to I'll randomly look one up here. Augmented spell castings, one augmented hit points, animate dead by touch, shadow form, regeneration, unholy blessing, weapon immunities. I mean, there are things you can get just as an ability innate at ninth levels. Now you can choose to pass on it, but if you do, then you lose that one, that attack. But there's also a random table for the price, and the price can be just as bad as the ability. So, like, there's multiple tables. Here's one. All hair permanently turns white or falls out. Ugh. Physical aging. Physical deformity. Hunchback. Small horns appear on head. Teeth are long and pointed. Voice sounds evil, low, whispery, and human. Those are the good ones. You have to shed your own blood 1 to 4 points of damage once per day. Howls under night sky or moon once per day. I mean, there's a lot of really... Harms or kills a sentient individual once per week. Eats fresh uncooked meat once per day. Yes. So there's some nasty things, and but it adds a little flavor to the high level ones. Yeah. So, and we don't have a lot of player character necromancers, and 4 of the 5 of them are not straight. So here are the ones I came up with. If I missed someone, let me know. The highest level one is Bill's Salen, multi-class cleric necromancer, 11 cleric, 12 necromancer, half elf. The anti-hero of Salen made me do it. The one who, Nixel, Liches and Death Masters are out as player character, but a necromancer is as close as you can get in our game because. As you saw, I put up a 4th level necromancer against the party, and they get some cool abilities, some neat stuff they can do. But Salen, Death Knight's not a player character either. Death Knight's a monster against, man. Yeah, we're in the realm of badness.
Yep.
Yes, and we'll get there's some really bad, nasty things out there, but Salen's the one who took the crown, and we talked about this, and he turned evil, and he tried taking over off Greyhawk, and this was a 20-year campaign arc that I did, and now he's the deputy. He's the deputy guild master of the Engravers and Embalmers Guild. He's under Selzik, if you know that name, Selzik Obayek. He's under him, and he's kind of like a cowardly character. You're always afraid of everything. But he became this megalomaniac crazy dude when he put that crown on, and that was a whole really cool. Yeah, please. You can answer to that one, Mark.
I'm typing as we speak.
Yes, that's limited to Dragonlance as well. The next highest in the campaign's dual class human, Gramercy Riff. He's a dark-skinned man who fights with a harpoon. Started out as a fighter, went up to 8th level. I'm trying to figure out why he stopped at 8th. That's I never figured that out. Or did he stop at 7th and did he get another level from a book wall? I'm not sure about that. But now he's an 11th level straight necromancer. Kind of nasty. He has a price too. I know he's got to sleep underground or something, and he has some nasty abilities. I don't hate Dragonlance. I hate Tanis. Let's get that straight. I love Lorana. I hate Tanis.
Oh yeah, you love her so much you killed her off.
Yep, come on. She didn't belong in Greyhawk, but she was there. So I got Kender. No.
Kender, no.
Halflings are bad enough. So no, I'm just kidding. I love halflings. Kenders are Dragonlance, man.
Kenders are annoying.
You guys are trying. So go. So Riff's a cool character. He's up in the Vestry Forest, and he's in that group up there for the most part. And we may run a high level with them upcoming in the near future. They're always fighting. He is up there. They're kind of allied with the Torch of Grunch, the up there, which is kind of weird, but they did, so that was neat. So, and then the next one I came up with, this character is underscored as super nasty Chandra Soulbender.
Yep.
Alan has a dark elf, fighter necromancer female, nasty character because she can fight real well and she can enhance. There's a vampiric weapon spell now at 3rd level. Turns your the necromancers get. She can enhance that her weapon so that she gets health back. Very nasty character. Once again, that dark elf fringe world that we're dealing with the multi fighting. But she's multi-class, so she doesn't get specialization. So Illithids are. I love Illithids. I love mind players. Love them. So Sean is another one. Walt has in the reborn Gwen Stefani, a very unique name, and she's 9th level now. The only straight, true, no other multi or dual class necromancer that I could think of in the campaign. 9th level. And then, last but not least, Mark has a dual class, and she's a very neutral based. Uses the necromancy part more for the healing aspect, kind of. What do you think, Mark? Felina.
This is where knowing a little bit about the class does obviously help. So. Yes, she does. She started off as a regular cleric and then had the ability to switch over. It was just one of those things that's like, you know what, she's kind of boring, want to do something different. And she had all the stats that, gave her the ability to become a necromancer. But the real idea that I think of when I think of her is you could really have a necromancer that is more of like a forensic specialist.
Yes.
So
yes.
There's a lot of spells that are in there. I want to say one of them is called, is it Last Sight?
Last Image?
Last Image. Which gives you the ability to cast it on a dead body and see the last thing it is that they saw. So many times it would help you like with murder investigations and things of that nature. There's a lot of those types of things.
There's a lot of those at 1st level. There's let's see. There's Corpse Visage, Corpse Link, Last Image, Murder Weapon, right? Yep. Which is cool. Yep. Locate Remains. There's a spectral. There's a lot of cool spells like that. That really,
and you can used in the right way.
Yeah.
Can really make the game. I do want to lend one piece of advice, though, for other DMs as we're talking about necromancers, and was something that it also kind of, in so to speak, kind of applies to druids, too. So depending on how you actually DM, you can get really, really overboard very quickly by having quote-unquote minions of different types of creatures. Druids can obviously, by casting friendship, necromancers have the ability to do the same thing when it comes to undead. So, it can get out of hand very, very quickly, and you then have to start preparing for those types of situations. If you run the type of a campaign where there's a kind of a home base that you're playing with.
Yeah, you have to watch out for that. I mean, it's it's just like the same. You're right. Rangers, druids, it can get overborne, and extra henchmen, too many henchmen, and then it becomes unmanageable. And the way we play with playing more like PC, that would be extremely difficult. That's where we limit the henchmen to a group of henchmen for the most part,
right?
And stuff. But you could, you can summon all the creatures you want during the adventure. I don't care about that, like elemental summoning or whatever. That's part of the game. But having an entire, and we used to call it the Tim Pack Bearer rule.
Yeah.
So one of our. Go ahead, tell a story real more quick about that. So.
Well, I don't know the Pack Bearer one, but that's where I learned kind of the abuse of it, because I had a druid in Tim's group that had a complete animal army, and it worked out really, really well for me, of course. And then by the time Tim had noticed that it was already well past his ability to wrangle it in, but. Yeah, it can get pretty nasty, and necromancers are no different. By being able to do the same thing as undead.
Yeah, people don't bring minions on adventures that much anymore because of the Tim rule too, where Tim would bring his entire entourage of pack bearers, torch bearers, all sorts of things. And what I would do is leave them back, but I would someone would throw a big boulder, or a boulder would roll down the mountainside and crush them all. Just so. Yeah, you having trouble hearing Mark?
No, not at all.
Yeah, Mark. No, Nixel says he's having trouble hearing you. So.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, you may want to pop it up a hair. So I'd always kill off all his guys right off the bat because it was just they were just fodder. And he's like, you did that, you know. So, but that's, hey, Tom. So, that's the way the Necromancer went. Now, if you can't afford this book, which you probably, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be well over $100, maybe unless it's in a crappy condition. And you want to know a lot about Necromancers, this book is very affordable. I've seen it like for like $8 sometimes on eBay. This is a Sword and Sorcery 3rd edition book, Hallowfaust, City of Necromancers. This is a good reference. There's some neat things in here. There's some weapons. There's a lot of spells that supplement the relics and rituals. So this is a good book to look for, to get if you really want to really delve into necromancy. And yeah, the ebook too. You're right, Nick. So get the PDF. But if a lot of people want to have these on their shelves, but I'm saying this one is one you can afford to get on your shelves. So, but I always put real bad, nasty necromancers up against the party, and they have their weaknesses. They do have some fire sphere spells, so they have fireball and fire shield, but they don't have a lot of them. But
you do have one other spell that we also didn't cover, Sword Shun.
Yeah, well, Sword Shun. Yeah, tell them about Sword Shun then. Absolutely, that's a good spell.
So that's a really, really great spell. The concept of it is that the necromancer basically inserts a blade inside of his body, which gives him complete immunity to edged weapons.
But he takes damage from that blade in his body.
Yeah, he takes damage every round, if I remember correctly.
I think it's a point every other round, and they cannot heal that damage through any other normal means but rest. So you can't do healing spells on it. But in a nasty fight against some sword wielding, but like a blunt weapon, it's ineffective against the blunt. But they have a lot of those kind of spells. There's a spell called Flesh Box where you can like hide stuff in your body. There's also I forget the name of it, but there's one you can actually put rings on ribs, right? You can hide. Oh, wow. Yeah,
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that's a little higher level. I think it's 6th. Troller's Fortitude gives you 3 hit points a round, regenerating. Yep. So there's a lot of good spells. You just need to go through it. And like I said, 22 different book references is a little bit crazy, but that's what I do after 39 years of gaming, and I want to have the class, on a level playing field with other PC classes. And of course, the bad guys always want to throw those nasty bad guys against the party. So that's the Necromancer in a nutshell. First of the PC Dark Arts classes. Second one. Let me do a quick Whoop. Okay. So this is the oldest reference I have found that we have used in a Dragon magazine. And if we flip through to this, look at all those books are all Necromancer reference books. Yep. It's crazy. And those, which I haven't even talked about yet. And there's the dragon, and there's that. Like I said, if you can get a hold of that too, you can get a hold of this, get a hold of it, man. The CDs. Okay? For our first 250 Dragon magazine issues. This is Dragon number 5. Look, $1.50. And this class, the Witch. The Witch was talked about in 1977, March of 77, this appeared in Dragon 5, Witchcraft Supplement for Dungeons and Dragons. They've been messing around with this since I was 10 years old, right? This one is not the one that Tim would use all the time. That one appears here again in June of 78 in Dragon 20. This is the revamped Witch. This was the witch that we always would go against, okay? And this is the witch that, if you guys saw the beginning with Norin, that actually happened. That's not a story made up. The witch actually, at the end of the fight, took Galilad and aged him 100 years. He failed to save, and he died. And that was the end of one of Tim's favorite paladins. That's in this one. This one has the High Secret Order of all the craziness in it. This is the nastiest out of all the incarnations of the witch. Really nasty. And this is from Dragon 20. So this was our mainstay for years until the one that you see on the screen came out, Dragon 114. That revamped the Witch. And did, by the way, this article's a page and a half. That's it. I'm sorry, 2.5 pages. The spells are like one-line discussions. Like here, Wither. That's it. One line. Anyone or thing touch ages 100 years, intelligence get a save versus magic. That's all. That's the spell. I mean, nowadays you'd never have a description like that. You know?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. So we jump forward to October of '86, and here's the Witch article from 114. All right, now this one does Bill Mulhausen. This one does a little bit better in fleshing out things. That Wither spell disappears. A lot of the super high secret order stuff that was in Dragon 20 disappears. Okay, this makes it a little more balanced. So this is the one we used now. This is an NPC only class for me until a few years ago. We're talking about, and I believe I think it's only 2015. Now it could be a little bit before that, but I tried looking it up, and I'm looking through. Here's the story. So I'm looking through Drive-Thru RPG one day, and I come across this gentleman, who did this book, and I was like, oh wow, another witch book, right? But here it is, Timothy Brown. It's freaking fantastic. So it was only $5. Hey Brian. Brian Blumklotz is on. Everyone say hello.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hey, Brian. Glad you could make it, man. Thanks a lot. You know what? You stick on. You need a VIP badge. So Brian is the runner of the Cannon Fire site on Facebook and all our Discord, and we got an announcement with Brian coming up at the end of the show. Okay, so we're gonna hold off till the end though. But so Brian only got about an hour and a half. That's hanging there. So so I printed this out and I was like, this is freaking fantastic. Now the Witch, okay, has its own spell list. It says copyright 2012, but my copy of the PDF says I bought it in 2015. So I'm thinking it's only 4 years old that we used it. I have not opened up Witches to PC classes yet because I was too scared. I'm looking up the Necromancers. Yours is brown for players, right? All I can find is the green one. I'm sorry, Nick, so I don't understand the question.
I think he's asking about the Book of Necromancers.
Oh, no. Yeah, this one's blue. Okay, here, let me put it in the light for you. Complete Book of Necromancers, 2nd edition. It's in the complete... Yeah, Brian, I can only give you one. Here it is. It's blue. Okay, Complete Book of Necromancers. There's a complete book of gladiators, a complete book of everything. There's enough Ship in the Sea book, all 2nd edition, all blue. You had your brown series books, which was Thieves and stuff. You had your green series, which was like Glory of Rome, Celts, and then you had your blue books. The blue books are are very difficult to get. It's blue. Okay. So. So I started looking through this, and it has Witches broken into, has a great experience table, has some cool base abilities, and has Witches broken into different sections or different factions, and you can be different like a classical witch traditions. I'm sorry, you can be a family-oriented witch. And Aquarian's one, Fairy is another one, Family Tradition, I said, and then there's Malefic, which is the really nasty one, which I really don't want player characters to be. And they all have different abilities at different levels. And I'm thinking to myself, someone wrote a book that hit it on the head that I didn't have to make. And I know he's done some future stuff for 4th and 5th edition even of this witch. I know it's out there, and I know it's all in Drive-Thru RPG. And I was like, thank God. So I said, let's play test this. And Walt's a big play tester of witches, and Bill's another one. So it's working. We haven't had any issues with it. We haven't had any imbalance issues. And the spells are cool. They're different. Like Walt has this one, the Hecate Dog spell, and there's all sorts of neat stuff. But the highest level player character witch we have right now in our campaign is 5th, because we've been playtesting it with new groups. So I found 2 of them. Alicia Corvinus, which is Walt. She's a witch thief, right? 5/6. And then the bizarre one, Argalia, is a witch magic user 4/4. And then you say that shouldn't be, because you can't have a subclass of a regular class. Oh, that's cool, Brian. Yeah, okay. Warlock, making packs with stuff. Neat,
Yep.
Interesting, man. Interesting. That's good, because we need an education on 5e. Brian Sublime BW gives it to us a lot, and a couple other people do. But we're like the old guy knew tricks deal. So, witches are a subclass of nothing. Witches are their own class. And I had this discussion with someone on Facebook earlier today, or it was late last night. Well, I think there should be subclass of druid, not mage. And I said to the gentleman, they're neither. They're like they're their own class in itself. So we allow thieves, right? We allow thievery. We allow mages and clerics, right? 3 to 3.
Yeah.
For multi that we allow, yeah, those 3. And if someone comes to me with a special request, maybe. But if you look on our sheet here of all the classes we allow, you get down here to witch, and it's got a tilde. It's got a little squiggly tilde next to it, which means you need special permission. Really, Naz? I sent it out, man. I'm sorry. It went out. Oh man. Naz, I swear to God that it should have gone out. I apologize for that. Why it did not go out, but hey, man, thanks a lot for hopping in even a little late. My apologies on that. If anyone else let me know if did you get your notification that went out, because I do have it. Yeah, normally they do. Yep. If anyone did, who normally gets a notification, did let me know, because I'll look into it. I was wondering where you were. So the witch here is its own class. So we allow some mixing of stuff. Now, and it's so far has worked well. They can, like, some cool things they can do. They can go out into the wild and find herbs and make healing salves each day. They have some alchemy aspects, a little bit higher levels. There's a lot of things that they can do, and it's beyond.
Children,
What's that?
I said, eat little children.
So this is the book, and ignore this thing. It says dominatrix below it. That's out of there. That was a paying class that I did back in the 90s, early 2000s. That didn't go anywhere for a joke. But witches are become a little bit of a vital thing. They add a different flavor to our classes in role playing. Rennie make perfect witches in Greyhawk. So Walt, is yours a Rennie? I think it is. So it's perfect for that. It's perfect for a mystery character, where they're from, and she has spell casting ability, but you don't know. I mean, you don't have to tell right out in front that someone's playing a witch. And as far as nasty bad guys go, I go back to the witch from Dragon 20, right? Because I like to age people 100 years. So. Naz, I may even one day give you a copy of the dominatrix I did. What a yes, yeah. I play tested her with one NPC, and it didn't go over very well. But then again, those were in the days when we had a problem player we had to deal with as well. So, but another dark arts character that you can really just have some fun with, and they're not overpowered as far as I can tell. Like I said, we haven't play tested one up to 10th level yet, so we will see where it goes. But they have their own table. They get bonus spells based on charisma, not intelligence. That's another difference. that they get versus a cleric or druid or mage. So and they have some cool spells like here, sickly. First level, witch must make a touch attack, range touch. They fail to save. They suffer 1d6 penalty to con. Or initial -1 per 2 caster levels. And it gives them gives your target a sickly feel. There's all sorts of really neat spells. I highly recommend. I don't want to screw this guy over and give this out because this is available, I guarantee, for $5 on Drive-Thru-RPG. It's called The Witch, a new class for basic era games. So this is the old school version. I guarantee you, Timothy Brannon has it out there on Drive-Thru-RPG for anyone who's interested in it. So, and kudos to him for doing this, for making this. We should reach out to him, actually. See if we can get him on the show sometime, maybe. That would be a good idea.
Sure.
Because he's... So what... I know, Mark, you haven't really played one. What's your experiences, even with the Bad Witches in the old days?
So the big thing about them is, of course, that you have... they have some really, really nasty spells as well. They were kind of like the Necromancer before the Necromancer came about, in my viewpoint. I like that they're more, the player character is more tied to more like druidic abilities, like we're talking about, a little bit of alchemy in there too. So yeah, they're kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none, like a bard class, the magic user area. But having some of that natural ability to do like healing salves and things like that. The hardest thing is of course that you don't see a lot of Monty Python talk about the witch when you can play it. So which is usually a necessity.
Hey, Brian, say something. Just put something in chat real quick and see if it worked. So I'm going to tell my quick story, and this is a true story, okay? Lord Gazumba. This is before he was Lord Gazumba. I'm adventuring, and I think, Mark, you had to leave, and you left when Tim was DMing this. Tim did a lot of the DMing games, my friend, and he's been on a couple of the shows. Hasn't been able to play with us for a while. There you go. You got your gem now. There you go.
Yep.
Gazumba and Fensick, I think that was it. We were down to 2 characters, maybe a third. Do we play other systems next other than 1E2E? We're 1E2E all the way, man. Our campaign's so old, Nixel. 39 years now. It's just we can't. This is it for us. But I'll tell you this: a lot of this stuff can be converted to whatever edition you play. Pathfinder 4th or 5th, you can convert a lot of this stuff. And I wish that, and I talked to this with Brian Saracinas, I wish that they would open up to publish and for DM's Guild Drive-Thru-RPG old stuff, because I know we put some stuff up. We put some old things on, and maybe that's another question that we can throw to Wizards at GaryCon. Why limit it to 5th? I know they have reasons for it, but I think we could add some great content to the story there too. So Gazumba's with Fensick, and Fensick has that lightning rod tower, which Anna put on her map in the corner where Coward, and he's the guy with the lightning rod who always carried it around, right? And he's the one who flayed his flesh out and put a ring of regeneration around it and had the flesh go around. This is the kind of Tim's mage. We're fighting a witch. We're also fighting Zor, which is this guy who we've come up with multiple times. We're also fighting 6 juggernauts. If you know the juggernaut from Temple of Mental Evil, okay? And we wall to force them off and stuff, and we killed this witch. 2 rounds later, she comes out in another body. We killed the witch. 2 rounds later, she kept on coming out in new bodies, and we're like, oh my god! It just kept on. So we finally figured out we had like a few rounds to kill her, and this fight went on for like 6 hours. And it was the most long, tedious, frustrating fight I can remember. And that's the way Tim DM'd. But she had 13 bodies ready. And they have this ability. The High Secret Order witches out of this Dragon 20 had this ability. We finally killed her off. I was like, oh my God, that was the most painful fight I've ever been in. I think, Mark, you were there, and then it was like super late. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you had to go. It was at Tim's house back in Haddon Heights back in this has got to be 84, This has
Yeah,
got to be like
probably
80.
somewhere around
Because I
there.
was still in high school in this, I believe. It was like 84, 85. Most painful fight of my life was against a high secret order witch. All right, so just know that for Gazumba especially, because he was a player character of mine for the most part. But and when Tim DM'd, but when I DM'd, he's been an NPC. So another cool class, the witch. Anyone have any questions online about the witch? Of course, I just I don't know where I put my notes. There they are. So a cool class. Yeah, well, I graduated high school in '85. And a lot of us did, so or earlier. I know I look good for my age.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can I can help you to the Dragon magazines, how to get to them, articles. But as far as this one goes, you're going to have to, I can't because I purchased this. So if anyone wants a copy of this, I'll direct you. I'll help you find it on Drive-Thru-RPG if you need to. But I think it's only $5. Okay, it's well worth every penny on this one. So, The Witch. Okay, third, Dark Arts. And I wish Bill was on for this because this is Bill's idea. And Bill's come up with a lot of ideas. Last week when we did Damage Dealers, he came up with a Saxon. He admits this is a rip-off of Game of Thrones. Okay? So, hey, as Brian Saracena said, your best ideas come from other sources sometimes. So let me get to one of these classes. There's one. Okay. The Maester. Now you may ask, what the hell you need a Maester for in your campaign? It's a good question.
Like variety.
Yes, yes. And we added this in, Rocks, this is for you. We added this one to the show from last week because we had a lot of people ask about this. So this is why we added this in. It's kind of got some dark arc aspects to it. This is one of the most recent classes. If you notice, it's all the way down here on the bottom. And it's got a little squiggly there, which means it's got to be special approval again as well on the list. Yeah, see, look at all those classes. Woo!
Although all of us actually have one now.
Well, I don't believe that's not all of us. I don't think Alan has one.
Really? I thought he
Yeah, I don't think so.
actually he did.
So, as far as I know, going back to Witch, we have 2 witches that are player characters, and that's it in the entire campaign. So it's not a lot of witches. There's actually more maesters, but they're not that high level. So when we started, and I did, we did Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and we did, I had Hamlet, and this is going back, I guess it's before 2015 then, because we're in the other house. So it's 2013. It's before we moved. I had Hamlet up. We did Village of Hamlet, Noel. I did all sub-adventures and stuff. We have a group that has the worst name of all time. Yes, exactly, Brian. And we have 2 Brians on. We have Saracena's Brian and Sublime Brian. So it's like, yeah. Yeah, I don't, well, so Walt brings up a question in between. So here's a question. Mark's running 4th edition adventures right now. He's converted back, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Mark's adventures he's running, Siege of Bordrin's Watch, and before that, oh my God, I forget the name of it already. What was the previous? We both forget.
Yeah, I forget it. I forget it as well.
So the other group, they're 4th edition, and we have a way to run them back. 5th, I haven't even dabbled in any modules or adventures that have been 5th edition yet. I haven't done that. So we're trying. Well, next, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get it to that point. Yeah, he's running it right now. He's running 2 of them, and he's back converted them. Done a great job with it. So we're trying to get to that point where D&D, it's a universal game. So we could get it to the point where we could make a lot of these classes, I think, 5th. I think some of these would transfer over. But for us, I'll tell you this, all right? I like being the only old school, well, one of 5 maybe streamers on the whole that differentiates us. So I kind of like being 1E, 2E. I think we'll stay there for a while. But see, Mark can't even remember the adventure before.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's how much stuff I got.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Mark, that's so unbelievable. One
Yeah.
sec here. Let me go through past events. No, I got it. It's going to kill me now. It's going to drive me crazy. It's going to drive me absolutely up a wall. One sec. I'm scanning back. Oh my gosh. It's all slap. I can't even find the pictures for it. All right. That's redoing. So, the Maester is a class that Bill created. It fills a serious hole in 1E, 2E play. And what is that? What's a big hole in the gaming system for 1E, 2E, Mark?
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of holes technically.
Well, one of them that's a hole for us.
I'd probably say that, well, we believe in a good balance, and so one of the things that we actually do that is some people consider kind of limiting, but is not allowing any race to be basically any class.
Right.
I would say.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we believe in a sheer balance of stuff. So you're not going to have like dwarven paladins running around. But that being the case, we also have dwarven shield things. Same thing with halflings. There's a specialty class for them that's called guardian, as an example.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things. And so, and hence this major difference between 1E, 2E versus 4 and 5 and so forth was they tried to level the playing field.
Right.
You play whatever it is that you feel like playing. And we do the same thing, but it's more of...
well, here's the cross-reference chart. You can see
kind
it.
of just basically just a reference of different types of classes, for those different types of races.
It felt good. So for us, what I was getting at was, and that's a good direction too, was crafting. There's no crafting rules at all in 1E, 2E, really, right? There's nothing. And there's no alchemy. There's some alchemy, but there's no rules about how to do it. There's no rules about how to do armoring. There's no rules about leatherworking. There's no rules about any of that stuff. So the crafting area for us was completely devoid. So Bill came up with the idea to do this Maester, okay? And the Maester is like I said, it's ripped right off from Game of Thrones. They're true neutrals, and they have at every other level, at odd levels, they get an advanced study skill, and then at even levels they get an academic skill. Every other up to I think it's 10th. It's up to 10th. So they become the jack of all trades. They become the RP crafters in the game. They become the characters in your group that are taking parts of monsters you kill for spell components, for alchemy, for whatever, that really is lacking in 1E, 2E. Because you kill a troll, you burn it or whatever. Well, there's parts of a troll that are very useful for certain potions. But that was kind of a huge miss that we had in the game. And so I let Bill bring this in. I was like, let's play test this for a while and see how that goes. So no one plays a straight Maester. That would be boring as hell, right? So we allow, even humans, we allow a multi-class option with Maester of the 4 base classes. Fighter, Cleric, Magic User, or Thief. Now, that means that they're multi-class by rule. You finally found the adventure?
Yep.
How can we forget that?
Yeah, I know.
How can we? And you're on tomorrow night, too.
Yeah.
So, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, and that's where Brian, and that's where I think with us, the limits on us keeps our game 1E, 2E old school, right? That's why, like, a paladin is a human, right? In our campaign, they're humans. That's it. Now, except for the cavalier one, which you can be a half elf, which is a rare thing in our game. And you can't be a half orc. You can't be a half orc mage. right? And this table helps, and I think that's part of our yes. And a witch and a maester came out about the same time in our game as far as a player character. So now we got two classes that are collecting stuff for potions and alchemy, and you take a fighter maester, you can't specialize because you're considered multi-class. So multi-class fighters in our game can't specialize. You take a cleric maester, they can't be specialty priests, they're just straight clerics. You can't a mage maester, you can't be an elementalist. You're just a regular magic user. Same thing with thief. So the picture of the hot chick up there, that's Moraine. That's Mark's thief maester he has class in one of the groups, and she's only 3-4. So we have some they're low level and they're all being play tested, but they're cool because here's your advanced study skills. Oh, see, I can't do this. Okay, so you have an advanced study skill. All right, so you have anatomy is one, alchemy, engineering, magical theory, which allows you to use magic user scrolls actually. Okay, so it's kind of cool as far as that goes. Theology, clerical scrolls, dark arts, necromancy, nature's way, druidic, trickster's path, illusionist, philosophy, and then path of the elements you forgot. So elementalist, I added that one in, and then you also have fauna, flora, decipher, mathematics. Okay, so that's your main skills. So that's the stuff that gives you the oomph of the character. And like you said, you get 5 of them over the course. So you're like almost could be like a mass, as you'll see, sage of the group. It allows. Cool, Brian. Cool, man. Awesome. Hop back on when you can. We'll still be on in a half hour. And like I said, we really appreciate you hopping on here. We'll do our right when you get back on. We're gonna have our announcements. So the advanced study skill gives them. And think about this. So here's some of the maesters we have. The highest level one is actually 8/8 magic user maester, and that's Marianus from the Arianus group. We have Marianus, Arianus, and Mariana, right? And all in that same group. And that's the Omega Patrol, the dumbest name ever group, right? So, and they were the ones that did Temple of Elemental Evil. And they did Return to Durbanford. They've done a couple of adventures. So this maester got play tested all through there. And he's a good character. He's not a very powerful mage, but he has some good mage spells. He has alchemy. He has a couple other things. He really helps the party out by crafting. He had an alchemy lab actually in the village of Hamlet, remember? So we know that we had it back then at the house in Stratford. So that's, remember, because we bought that. There's that abandoned house over near the stream. You guys made a deal, got that, and you made that, turned that into your alchemy house. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. That was so we know that was happening back in 2013, 2012. So
well, and let me interject here a second. The ability to craft when it came to doing potions and stuff, the core game actually covers it. So you can do so as a cleric of a certain level or a magic user at a certain level. I think the bigger thing was the potential for abuse in doing it was extraordinarily high.
Right.
So, once again, having that limit, because if you had the ability of doing, essentially almost any potion it is that you want, then you would have people that would be stocking up on all sorts of different stuff, and they would never run out.
Right. Absolutely.
Funk and Hottie Peak running around with 300 potions of extra healing.
And we know who would abuse it in our campaign. That's all I'll say. So. You have those characters that hey, any exploit they can take, they'll take, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the way it is. Yep. So one of them begins with Tim, and the other one begins with Alan. So but it works. And yes, the answer to that, Nixel's yes. And I'll answer that in a second. That is yes. Oh yes. The answer. Then you got your academic skills, and these are kind of the fun things. Music, art, anthropology, laws, customs, cartography, which is really could be helpful. Appraisal and barter can be very helpful. Seamanship, helpful in Harby especially. Metallurgy, heraldry, animal husbandry. So there's all sorts of stuff for through the academic one of my character, Cassandra, I think she's got music, and she has a musical instrument now. She's not a bard, but she can play a musical instrument because she has this. This allows the class to give a huge variety of just different things. And once again, I said this is based for a 1E, 2E campaign. So we set up a rule percentage on how the percent for success in crafting and alchemy. There's levels where you can do certain, like you can take dragon hide, and it's a leather worker at a certain level, and turn it into armor. Those rules are set in here. So it's a neat class. They get a base ability to have ancient lore, which is, and also the ravens for communication. Bill took that right out of Game of Thrones. So that is that's a good. Ancient lore is here. So basically, they can do the same as a Bard's Legend lore, and if they have their research lab, they can get an extra 10%. And then they can communicate using ravens, just like in Game of Thrones. Okay, so it's ripped off from Game of Thrones, but it's okay because it was created for our campaign. It's created for us, and it works for us, and it's cool. And it's not imbalancing. I have a fighter maester named Cassandra Carlos. She is the daughter of Juan Carlos, who's the head of the captain of the guard in Altamira, and she's a jack of all trades fighter. Can fight with a two-handed weapon, can fight with a missile weapon, can fight with a weapon and shield, and she has taken anatomy, which as her main ability up on here, which gives you some damage to your attack. So she can actually, it gives you like a +1 for so many of her levels because you know what areas to hit. So she kind of has gotten a benefit from that for her fighting ability, but she has other skills as well. And she has alchemy now later on, and the levels scale up. And it's a neat idea, and I wanted to bring it out to you on this one, because I know Rox asked and a couple other ones, because there are some dark arts involved here. You can have necromancer abilities of their scrolls, and theoretically, and I never even thought about this, an evil maester could be nasty. I've never done that. That's a good point. Maybe I should. A cleric wand?
Sure.
Maybe that'll come up in the future. You never know. Because that could give them all sorts of other abilities and make them really a little more difficult to deal with. So the three that we have is Marianus, Cassandra, she's 5th fighter, 5th maester, and then Moraine, who's a thief maester. I think she's a maester 3rd, 4th thief. Yeah. And they're the three. And John, who's Tim's dad, who hasn't played in a couple years, he had a cleric maester. I think, was that the gnome? He had one. He had a cleric maester. No, it probably wasn't. I
think it was human.
Yeah, so we've had one from all 4 classes, and I was kind of surprised that no one in this group did one. So, but because it would really maybe a benefit for the group out at Winchester's Bulwark, but no one went that route, and that's okay. It's not required, but I was kind of surprised, and I didn't want to do another NPC ones, but that that's the way it goes with classes, right? And so you have so many. Let me see here. Goljahan. Thanks, Walt. He's a cleric maester in the Hiltless Swords, correct? Thank you. Yes. Walt brought up one I was missing. That's Goljahan. He's a cleric maester, and he's in our Hiltless Swords group, if I recall correctly. And so we do have one for every class throughout the campaign, and it's a good play test. So getting back to the necromancer. Anyone have any questions on the maester? Like I said, Bill is allowing me to share this. So, Rox, if you want this, or if anyone else wants a copy of it, I'd be more than happy to send it to you, as long as you just kept it for us. And that's where I was going to go, Naz, with this next thing, was that I think out of all the classes, the way we have it set in our campaign, the ones we've talked about here, the One for the most power as far as a baddie goes. Obviously, Deathmaster's the one, but that's a straight chaotic evil only because they turn their alignments go to chaotic evil, and they strive to become liches, right? That's what they strive to do. They are a high level mega baddie because they have a lot of undead and they have a lot of crazy capabilities. If you use them on player characters, you're gonna mess up some characters, and I'm not talking about just killing them. You're gonna mess them up permanently. So Deathmaster's few and far between. I haven't used one probably in about 10 years. What do you think?
It's been.
Yeah, but when you do, you remember it.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Whereas if you want an NPC to come out and really mess up their days, and we're going to talk about the other one next week, which I bring out a lot more, when we talk about delving into the Paladin, and you can figure out what that one is. Opposite of the Paladin, right?
Yep.
So,
well, Jay, before you get there, remember that Nixel had a question about Ravenloft.
Yes, okay, Nixel, Ravenloft. And this is where we're going to go into. So, when the original Ravenloft came out, it was not set in its own demiplane world, right? It was set in, it's on our Wall of Fame. It was set in as, I guess, great. It doesn't really say. It says Barovia, but we assumed we had just Greyhawk somewhere.
Sure.
And then Ravenloft 2, one of the toughest modules the DM ever came out after that. I ran that once. I ran Ravenloft once. I ran Ravenloft 2 once. And I doubt if I'll ever run them again. But they both were set. There was no Ravenloft demiplane. Well, when the demiplane stuff came out, it was cool because you could go back and forth a lot between. And this is before it got weird with, Soth and all that stuff. It was just, there were two. There was Strahd and there was Azael and the Lich, right? Because Azael and the Lich makes an appearance in Ravenloft 2. It's the first time he ever makes an appearance. So you got, and I remember the adventure, and I ran it I think 2 times. It was out of dungeon. It was called A Rose for Talakara, right? And it was a crossover. The Dungeon magazine started bringing out Ravenloft crossover modules. And I was like, this could be cool. So we ran one. We ran a Rose. And I'm almost positive it was that adventure. We ran that adventure, and it kind of did a twist of fate thing, so that Mark's character, David Gradavis, became actually related to Bill Eilenfeld's character, Alistrina, right, the elf, because of a twist of fate in Ravenloft. So we did a couple we did a couple of those that came out in the Dungeon magazine back in the day, and we're talking early 90s now. They were cool because they were just one-offs in and outs, right? And then all this other stuff came out, and it was a direction we didn't end up going, but we've run some things. And like I said, Ravenloft and Ravenloft 2 are both on our Wall of Fame, and they deserve a place on there because they're groundbreaking adventures. And Wall will tell you this. In Ravenloft, the final fight with Strahd, you had Wall. Who'd you have? Gilgalad? There was Galilad on that before he got aged by the witch, and there was someone else. And Walt, if you can remember, and they all did within 2 rounds 100 points of damage. And remember that? Because someone had
somebody had a sunblade.
Someone had a sunblade. I want to think it's Gilgalad. And it went, and they messed up Strahd's day in that adventure really quickly. And there's a lot of vampires running through that module. I mean, a lot of minion vampires. It's a nasty module, but it was fun. Here's the other story. Go ahead, tell the story. Zeno, you gotta tell it.
Well, we didn't burn the castle down. I'll put it to you that way.
Yes.
There was a point in the old days where they had, and they're starting to come back actually, gaming stores where you could actually pick stuff up. And Jay, I think it was you that was there, either you or Ivanfeld that was there. And they said, "Oh yeah, we bunch of kids that were playing didn't know what they were doing. and said, "Oh yeah, Ravenloft, that was easy. You know, all we had to do was just burn the castle down." And it was, the attitude was, it's stone.
Yeah.
Stone to burn.
So I went to a D&D store down the shore, down in Wildwood, and Walt will probably remember the name of it. It was in North Wildwood. I went in there, and there was a woman behind the desk, and I was like, "Yeah, we just ran Ravenloft. It was great. It was fantastic." And she said back to me, "Yeah, they couldn't really get into there to get Strahd, and so they burned the castle down." I'm thinking, how the hell do you burn down a stone castle? I was just bizarre. I was just like, but then again, it was, that's the kind of thing that happened back in those days, dumb stuff. But I was thinking of the Xeno story. That was Ravenloft too. Yes.
That wasn't Ravenloft.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's a classic one. So, in going through Ravenloft, there was this one area that this guy had he was just stirring a pot. That's all he was doing. And we had another player named Bill, not Islandfeld and not Matt.
Yeah, this is a different Bill Reese.
Completely different Bill. Yeah, Bill Reese. And so he didn't. Tim didn't really get along very well with him, and Bill wasn't a very accomplished player, so he was very trusting. And Tim convinced him to have his character stay there by the pot to see if anything went on. And as we always say, you never split up the party. And unfortunately, it happened. And so he left him there. And Jay decided, okay, well, I'm going to roll Wandering Monsters. And sure enough, a banshee showed up, wailed, and he failed to save and died right there.
Yeah. Tim didn't like. So Tim's like, it was Galahad too. That's the funny thing. The Galahads who were talking about getting aged and killed.
You stay here and watch this guy.
Hey, he's important. Stay here.
Yeah.
So he's mixing, and everyone else went off, and he stayed there. And then I was just like, oh my god! And then Wandering Monster came, banshee, dead. Poor Bill, poor Xeno.
And so through the rest of the campaign, we've always had this inside joke. Maybe somebody will wish me back.
Yeah. Yes.
And somebody actually did. This happened last year. Somebody wished Xeno back. And in typical Xeno fashion, he went after a character, the backstabber, one of Alan's, and in 2 rounds was basically a thin red face. So.
But that's the wonders of that Ravenloft dark art era of all that stuff. Was all those weird, all that kind of play. So yeah, Tegel Manor is another one that I know Walt has it, and it's a classic, and it's huge because it's just monsters almost randomly put in there. It's a mega thing. Our Momentium, our big one out of Judges Guild era is Dark Tower. That is the one for us, and Tim ran it for Gazumba was on that one as well. That's another Gazumba adventure that actually Hawk and Gazumba both played on that one. What a fantastic adventure that is. And I did it one time for my group. Bill Haley, Bill the Master Crafter, he had not started playing yet. When was the last time I ran that? It's that long ago. It is a great module. And, also
on our Wall of Fame, of course.
Yeah, of course. It's also on our Wall of Fame. Absolutely. There isn't a Wall of Fame. Gabbin, it goes way back, so it's not available on Twitch because it's beyond 60 days because we only can keep up vids for every 60 days. But it's on our Lord Gazumba, and there's a space YouTube mirror. I know that one's on there, and it talks about the Wall of Fame, and that adventure's on there as well. So, but yeah, getting back to like the Ravenloft thing and all that era of the Gothic era. There's a lot of opportunity for that kind of thing to make a reappearance. And if anyone has been watching Thursday night, this is why this ties in real well. So the first group went out and they killed all these giant, very first adventure. They killed all these giant toads. They killed these lizards and stuff. And so then they came back. Well, there's these massive piles of dead bodies from the first invasion we did at Winchester's Bulwark back in September. And that was a huge mega adventure we ran with super high level characters. Well, nothing ever happened to them. And I was like, I had this plan from day one. I just didn't want to do it in the first adventure. So there's no way there was this one little 4th level necromancer chuckling, laughing outside, and I was shocked when Walt's character Cordelia ran through, because she has invisibility to undead as an undead hunter, ran through everything, ran through all the undead and went right out there to him. I mean, it was ballsy, let me tell you. And it kind of threw a wrench into my plans, but there's no way that a 4th level necromancer could raise all that stuff. First off, right? Number one. 2, they found 2 more sets of tracks. So let's just think who is out there, okay? And that's all I'll say that ties into this discussion tonight, right? It gives me a whirlwind of different possibilities for the groups down the road. More necromancers, maybe a Leonard Lakofka, Deathman. You never know, man. So we'll see. So, no problem, Brian. But that's good that you're watching here and you can multitask on that. So, so it was perfect timing to bring in all the skeletons and the undead and stuff. And I looked and I was like, why didn't anyone try turning? And I realized the 2 specialty priests that were in on that don't have turn ability.
Don't have turning ability.
The one with turn ability wasn't there. So,
right.
But that's okay. So, yeah, and that's true. She has no fear of dying. Cordelia McManus as well. Pretty cool. I love using necromancers as bad guys. I love the class. You can find necromancy spells beyond just the necromancer. Especially priests of Ouija get 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th level necromancer spells during their progression in their specialty priest level. Also, specialty priests of Ease get it as well. So there are 2 specialty priest classes. Of course, one you can't be a player character, but Ouija you can. And Ouija is the best of both worlds in the world of necromancy. And why is that, Mark?
Well, I mean, because they get clerical and necromancer spells at the same exact time.
What's the key spell they get that changes the game of healing?
Spectral Hand.
Right. So, especially priestess or priest of Ouija can now cast that necromancer spectral hand spell, send it out, and not even get to someone and use like cure light wounds, death's door, repair injury at range through it, wound closure, which is a necromancer spell. They can use these spells now with a necromancer spectral hand and heal people. So just keep that in mind as well. I love the specialty priestess of Ouija, even though Leonard Lakofka hates it, but that's okay. Because I did send it to him and he couldn't stand it. I hate it. But that's
We're
okay.
not on this earth to please Leonard, so.
Yeah, and that's a good, Brian, that's a good point on a lot of things. I go a little, my players don't argue with me much anymore on this aspect. The NPCs, especially the bad guys, always seem to have one up on what a player character would have. And that happens a lot, and that happens with these classes in particular. Like if I run another baddie witch, it's going to be a high secret order witch, and she's going to have the wither and the aging and all that stuff, right? So, and that's something that a player character witch could never attain. Because, and that's true. That's the kind of the direction on it. I agree wholeheartedly, 100% with you on that. So, alrighty. Well, does anyone have any questions on these 3 classes? And this is our realm. And you may say, well, that doesn't sound that malefic or nasty or dark arts. Let me tell you something. That adventure that Salem became a bad guy, and he had his beholder minions with him, and he took, and here's a cool thing. He took, and Bill did this. Bill, our the gentleman who's not on tonight. Every time someone would have an arm cut off or a leg cut off or something, he took a piece of it and kept it. So he had Milana, Alan's knight character, half dark elf. He had 3 pieces of her at different levels. 4th, 6th, and 8th, I want to believe, right?
Something like that.
And then she had a piece of Railstone, Mark's character, Railstone Radavis, at like 8th level. But he got something cut off. So when he became a bad guy, he cloned all those people. So he had, and then he cloned Salen too. I mean, he cloned Swain as well.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something. Necromancers are nasty, and they really are something you don't want to mess with. They have some great things at high level. They have some permanent things. Like, I even know Finger of Death, you can't raise, if you get killed from a Finger of Death spell, you can't be raised. I don't know if a lot of people know that. And that's a necromancy spell through and through, even though it's like 8th level mage, too. I don't get why it's still mage, but it is. So there's some nastiness in this. And the Deathmaster picture it's up, super nasty. The High Secret Order Witches, super nasty. And the Maester's not so much, but the Maester fills a hole from us, and we wanted to fill it. Yeah, you like that? I thought you liked that, Brian. I wish we had streamed that going back, but this was got to be 2012. I think that was run well before we were even considering it. It was at my old house, and that basement had so much shit in it. I don't even know how I fit everything in it. It seeped out water. It was nasty. So those are the 3 classes that we wanted to discuss tonight. Anyone have any questions? These books are up here, and they're up showing. I'm going through these. So I remember I talked about packet spells out of Dragon magazine that I got earlier. They were spells that you couldn't find them anywhere else. Well, it appears a majority of them are in these 4 books. And this is the Wizard Spell Compendium books. I wanted to discuss these. I mean, you can get these in PDF as well. But these things are thick as hell, man. And it's taking me forever to go through them. And I've been adding spells into these that I haven't seen before. If you can get a hold of these books in any aspect, you almost can compile. Now, I'm talking about the 2nd edition. The Relic and Ritual stuff you can't get, or not in here because it's a separate company. But you can compile a good spell list for almost anything you want out of these spells. I will say this. What's the origin of the name Maester or Master, Tom? The order of the name Maester, if you're talking about the Maester itself, is a class that it's an order in Game of Thrones, right, Mark?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's an order. It's a monastic order in Game of Thrones, I believe. That's where that comes from. Now you got to remember that I'm not a hardcore Game of Thrones watcher. I'm more of a Vikings guy. You mean it? Yeah, and Brian, Sarah Scenes, when you're talking about DM's Guild, the drive-through RPG version part of it, there's a lot. Yeah, I think they're up there, but I know for a fact that all the old school modules that I pull off for like Goodman Games and Advanced Adventures and Creation's Edge games, they're all on there. They're not in the DM's Guild part, because remember that is the part that Wizards of the Coast has merged with drive-through RPG, so it's separate. You gotta look under drive-through RPG itself. I'll take a look, but I think they're up there, these books. But these books are invaluable for getting these what I call packet spells, which are basically just photocopied Dragon magazines for the most part, right? Out and into use. So if you combine these books with stuff I'm showing here, yeah, that's true. Absolutely, Brian. They're the same, just different interfaces. Absolutely correct. But a true Wizards of the Coast person is going to look under DM's Guild for stuff in 5e, right? So that's where they're going to go. They're not going to go to the drive-through RPG part where there may be some other off-game license 5e stuff, which may be there. Mostly it's 3, 5, 4, 1, and 2. So the books I'm showing are the books you really need to compile all these spells that we talked about for Elementalist, Necromancer. These are the books you really want to get a hold of. Pages from the Mages. The Seven Sisters reference, even though it's Forgotten Realms, has some great spells in it.
Yeah, it's a really
I don't care if it's Forgotten Realms. I'm pilfering them. Okay? Great spells. Relics and Rituals, 3.0 and 3.5. The Sword and Sorcery stuff is unbelievable. Once again, I don't care. That's another company. Great spells, great magic items. I use a lot of the stuff. Relic and Rituals 2. Great spells, great magic items. tattoo magic's in here too, which is cool. You may want to take a look at that as well for that. Yes, they are literally the same site. The Excalibur reference from here provides a little bit more flavor for some spells. Okay? But that's another one too. Eldritch Sorcery, another one. Very dark art spells in this book. Okay? Some items, some feats, but spells mostly in this book as well. Another good one to compile. The Book of Eldritch Might, another one. It says D20 system right on it. So it's thin. It's super thin, along with the book. Oh, I skipped it. The Book of Eldritch Might 2. And then the Halafaust Necromancy book, another book that you want to get. Now, like I said, I can help you guys out find stuff. The Drive Through RPG site, you should be able to find all this as well. And Brian's correct. It's the same site. It's just the way they show things is a little different, you know. And my guess is that Wizards of the Coast gets a piece of the pie on the DM's Guild ones. And that's the difference than the other off-game license stuff. So, okay. Oh no, Momentium! I love Dragon's Foot. I love the Dragon's Foot forum. I love Dragon's Foot the magazine. I love the Earth Journal magazine too, that Brian probably knows a whole bunch about. If you can find them, they're great. They're great sites. Dragon's Foot is a fantastic site, and I give it its due diligence for 1E, 2E. They have the Castle and Crusade system on there, absolutely. But I've never contributed to them because I really haven't taken a lot of stuff off of their site, but I love the Dragon's Foot magazine because it really gives us some ideas on things. So the answer to that is yes, there's some modules we've done on there. 1 or 2 of them we've done. They tend to have really long modules that you can run, and they're free. So it's a great site and a great reference. 100% Momentum, fantastic reference site for you to utilize as well. Anyone else have any questions about these 3 before we go into it? I think our announcements may take a little while here. So, thank you. Thanks for hanging in there on these. So basically we're over 4 classes if you count the Deathmaster. It's going to be, you're going to see that, I guarantee you're going to see more of these. You're going to see more witches, you're going to see more necromancers, you're going to see more maesters, and you're going to see a Deathmaster or 2 down the road. Can't say how far because we're doing first levels. You don't want to waste a Deathmaster on first level characters. You want to wait till they're like 7th, right? But you're going to see a Deathmaster in this group down the road. There's no doubt about it. I will utilize one for you. So any of my people have any, or any of the people watching have any questions? Yes, I did not make it up, Rox. Bill did. Bill the Master Crafter made up the Maester class. And he's given me permission to share it at Rox if you want it. So, not a problem. I have it in PDF. It's I can send it to you. Just like I sent you stuff from last week. Yes, it's our class. It's made up from us. Yep. So, just like the Saxon was made up for us last week, the Foot Knight, the Maesters are made up class for us as well. Like I said, it filled the niche of the RP aspect of the game that 1E, 2E was missing. The crafting aspect. It filled that niche for us. And there's a Maester in his full regalia up top. As well, and like I said, I love that you can be. They're not useless in an adventuring group. They can actually provide some stuff because they are allowed to be multi-classed. So another cool class. Thank you for that question. So Mark, any final input on the classes that we discussed in the dark arts?
The only other thing that I wanted to add was that as well as spells that were made available, we also had some pretty neat magic items that came about for necromancers, like for instance, the Gastro was one. That
from the Ears the Evil reference, that's where that one comes from. I have a really nasty one. Twal's Mummified Member. We went through that in our unique magic items one, but that can rot limbs off. So, needless to say, that's another nasty necromancy type weapon. There's Ebon Stones, right?
Right.
There's also these gassed bracers in here with the Deathmaster. There's a couple other magic items, and the Relic and Rituals books have a lot of necromancy based magic items as well. So If you want, and the cool thing about the Relic and Rituals books is they talk about the background on the history of each item, so they give you some good lore on it, and then they have what it actually rule-wise below has or does. So it's a cool. They're good. They're very well done references, and I will absolutely do that, Rocks, for you. Thank you. Absolutely, no problem. So take advantage of those things, because 3.0 is down now. I bet you can get all those books fairly cheap. And I love the hardback books, because when we're playing and we have our reference books on the shelf, everyone's pulling out books. They're not, Tom's the only one that looks it up for the most part on his computer, but we like the books. There's nothing better than feeling a book in your hands. So there's some cool items, and you can make up your own items. You can make up your own unique items. So, and a little bit in the announcements here. Thursday night's adventure, there will be a unique new item to the campaign as long as they're successful in their mission. Okay? So I'll just say that. I got an item I made myself. So you'll see that Thursday night. All right? So let's start off with, hey, Celestian, I didn't see you on. Good to see you on, man. Brian Saracena, is she still on? You want me to? If I don't hear from you, I'll hold off on your announcement. So, but good to see you on there. So, yeah, I need to do one more thing real quick here. Hold on for another good subscriber of ours. I don't know if I can find him, but let's do this real quick here. All right, Celestian, you should have a little diamond next to you as well for being a subscriber and being a great contributor as well. So throw something up in chat for me. Let's just make sure you have that. But you should have that too now, and that's good. So I put that up there for you. All right, so announcements. Tomorrow night, Slap is back.
Yep.
So we continue. Mark's Ohio group. Excellent. We'll get to Saracenas shortly here. So the Adventures of Slap, Siege of Borderlands Watch continues. How many more sessions do you think, Mark?
It is possible they could actually finish tomorrow night. Just depends on what level of transiency actually happens. But more than likely, it'll probably be 2.
Okay. So that's great, and I'm playing Candace in that, and I'm having fun with it, and so we'll see that. And if you want to, if you haven't ever watched them, you get a great table with the grid built into it. Computer wise, it's fantastic, and that's a whole different group, a whole bunch of new characters for the most part, new players. So hopefully you can tune in for that. It's 6 p.m. Time-wise, we're talking about 6 p.m. Eastern. So it's very early for a lot of people. It's 6 to 9. And they're every other Monday. So I'm looking forward to continuing that. It's in our campaign. So they're existing in our game campaign as well, which makes it even cooler. So we got multiple DMs doing stuff in the same world together. Okay. So look forward to that tomorrow night. Them getting back on the horse after the holiday break. All right. So then after that, we'll have something next Thursday. We'll continue Beginnings Part 2. And we talked about the Necromancer fight that was done, and we divided treasure. But the first group that got sent out will make it to the Orog's Mound. And they're going to find a group already there under siege. So that's a little hitting tidbit of what's going to be going on, and then we'll go from there on that, and hopefully they can be successful in that mission. And so that'll be the other, that group's split in 2. So that's 9 characters. They're going to try to retake this land called Orog's Mound. History goes back to year 512 in the game, so it's over 100 years ago. A little history I created on that. So. We'll go into another announcement. So I talked to Anna today, and the locations that we're building up during our new first level group, she's going to add to our map. So she's going to add in Orog's Mound, and she's going to add the tower. She's going to start adding that stuff in for us. All right, so that's cool. Secondly, the shows that we're going to do with Anna on creating Altamira, we're going to wait till after GaryCon, okay? So we're going to wait till after March to do them because Anna's got 100 things she's got to get done for GaryCon. Plus, the other announcement we have is we are moving forward, and we announced this last week, but we're continuing to move forward with our Mega Stream event. Mark has done up a great... how long's the trailer? Is it a minute and a half or two?
It's a little over a minute. It's about a minute and 10 to 15 seconds.
A minute and 15-second long teaser trailer for the introduction on that, and he's going to refine it a little bit more. It's really great. And hopefully next week's Gabbin, we can introduce it for the Mega Stream. So that's moving forward, and that's going to take up a lot of people's time. So Anna said, look, can we do this after GaryCon in March and start doing shows? And they'll be mostly on her channel anyway, and we're going to shoot for Wednesday nights for that. So I'm going to be, she's going to build Altamira from scratch. She's going to make some of our other locations. She's going to do stuff in the Shieldland. She's going to do stuff in the Vespi Forest for us. So that's all moving forward. Okay, a great thing. Very exciting about that. Okay, here we go. All right, Brian Saracinas, here we go. Let's see if I can get this up without any problem. What is this? What is that? Wow. Okay. So put it right next to Mark. All right. So Brian Saracinas, who's the you're hiding behind the shield, has for us and done up the heraldry symbols for the Order of Ulick, the Knights of Ulick. Nice. There you go, Celestian. You have it. See, you have a little diamond now next to your name as well, because I have plenty to give out now. So you got your diamond up, your VIP up. All right. Like I said, I give them our great subscribers, and I'll keep on giving them out as we go, man. But thank you. So this heraldry symbol Brian created, and here's the schedule. Next Sunday, we do Delving into the Paladin. I think that'll be cool. We're going to talk about the Paladin and how it started as a fighter class, subclass, then went to a Cavalier subclass. Then we decided you could do both, and all the other subclasses of Paladin that we have, plus the big one of all, the baddie everyone wants to talk about, the Anti-Paladin, right? So that'll be next week's Delvin. The week after that, the 27th, which is the week between the Super Bowl and the championship games, is going to be our next DM's roundtable, where we have all sorts of discussions. Right now, the people who have confirmed, 100%, myself, Mark, Will from Return of the Bandit Kingdoms. Anna is 75% now, not 50. She's 75% now. And I've asked a couple other DMs. I've asked a couple other DMs, and I'm going to try and get some commitments. I'm shooting for 6. So we're going to have and this is in 2 weeks from tonight. So we're going to have a big discussion on just general topics that come up in the game about DMing, problems, funny stories, that kind of stuff. So we're going to continue that roundtable in 2 weeks. The week after that's the Super Bowl. That Sunday we're going to be off on our Gabbin show. The week after that, the 10th, February 10th, Brian Blumcott Saracinas has agreed to be my special guest on the show, on our Gabbin show. This is the tip of the iceberg you're seeing here, okay? Brian has done some unbelievable heraldry work for Greyhawk, and he did ours for the Order of Ulick. So now this is going to go on Anna's map, guys. That shield, you know how you see all the other shields? This is going to actually go on Anna's map for us. But he has and is working on the heraldry symbols for all the areas of influence the Knights of Ulick have. Selene, Greyhawk, the Shieldlands, the Vespi Forest. So we're going to have all those. We're going to have all the sub-heraldries, and we're going to talk. It's going to kill me not to. This is the teaser I wanted to bring out, was this. So it's going to kill me to hold off on for 3 weeks. Actually 4, right? Don't do 4 because of the off week. But I'm going to do it. And then we're going to bring it out. And then Brian's got even something more special than that he wants to discuss with us afterwards. So Brian Blumkrolotz will be our special guest on February 10th. That event will go up on the list. After the show, I'll get it up so that it's up there with everything else so everyone can see it. So, Naz, we don't have a night CO and XO for Glipdell. We don't have that, right? Brian will explain how heraldry comes about, how it's supposed to be made, and we talked about this yesterday, and we talked for like 3 hours, it was Friday night, on how heraldry is supposed to come up in the game in Greyhawk, and how the Prince of Ulick has got a little bit of a legal issue with us. You know, he hates our guts anyway, right? But the legal issue he could use against us. And Brian's going to bring up this story he's come up with, which is cool. So we got a lot of really neat stuff that we're going to discuss with Brian in that show. And I am so honored that not only has we gotten Anna's assistance, right? And I think Anna's actually on Shane's show tonight. That's why she's not on. She's filling in for someone who's off, so she's actually playing. That's why she's not on tonight. But now we're going to have Brian as well, and they both will be combined on the maps. So what do you guys think of that? Pretty cool?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome.
That looks, and our symbol always will be our symbol for Twitch, Marks. You know, that'll be that's our Knight of Ulick symbol. But this is our heraldry. This is our coat of arms.
Yep.
And I am just so stoked about this. So this is the only one I'm going to be using for now. I'm going to hold off on the other ones. Isn't it, Rox? It's awesome. I'm going to hold off on the other ones. Have them in my little folder. And Brian, and he's, and Brian may be tweaking them down the road, but we'll see. We'll see if he decides to do some other ones and has some other ideas. But they are beautiful, and they are freaking cool. So we're getting there with where we're going into the community. So once again, if any of you, our viewers, are not on the Cannon Fire Discord channel, I can give you the link to do it, or I can give you you go under announcements on the Cannon Fire Facebook page. Yes, see? He's still percolating with ideas, which is awesome. You really want to become part of the Cannon Fire, it's called Greyhawk Online now, Discord server. And Naz is a member of it, so Naz can participate. There's myself, Marco, DM Shane, DM Will, Anna, the Grow Dog, Greyhawk Mike, Carlos Leasing. They're all on there. The names you know about Greyhawk are on this Discord server. I would recommend, if you need help, I'll help you out. I would recommend, if you use Discord, you want to be involved in the server and see what's going on. There was a great chat that happened today that Brian, Icarus, myself were talking about. And I brought up how the Doom Grinder module, which I never put my people through, was kind of the equivalent of what Highlander 2 was to me, okay? All right? And how disappointing it was. Yes, you like that, Mark?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that's how disappointing. Right. Because everyone remembers, and From the Ashes, the Doom Grinder was a great little story. And, there was this windmill, and it moved maybe a turn, and no one knew what it was about. And it turned into this Darrow cigar box thing, right? And yes. And so those are the kind of discussions that go on all the time. And that's why I'm giving a shout out, because Brian is runs this site, Saracenas. Get on there, get in on Discord, and then you guys can participate in the conversation as well. All right, so please do that. Our next, probably the final announcement I want to make, if anyone else online doesn't want to give us an announcement, yes. We have enough of Locomotive of Dooms with like Sailing in the Crown. We don't need a Locomotive, yes. So I thought it was pretty witty on my part. And actually, Malden, Dennis Tetro actually agreed with me on that, which was cool. So we are working. We have a special group set up for Will, DM Shane, Mark, and myself. We are moving forward on the mega stream. Still set to go March 23rd. Right now it's 16 hours. I'm working, and a couple people are working on trying to make it a 20-hour stream. Maybe we'll get there. We need a European DM who's a Greyhawk aficionado to make this work. We have a big meeting that weekend between the Super Bowl and the championship games. The four of us, we're going to hash out the storyline. But right now it's going to start 8 a.m. Return of the Bandit Kingdoms. Mark's going to start a new group. It's going to be in the Shieldlands, right?
Yes.
So Mark's going to have his part of the story of the Orb of Dragonkind in the Shieldlands. Then Shane will take over at 4 p.m. This is all Eastern time, guys. Shane will take on, and then my group with Mark playing. Anna has agreed to special guest play in it. And I'm going to give her a 10th level character to play, or she's going to make one up. I'm trying to get her to play Mariel. That's who I want her to play. That would be cool, right?
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's Jalarzi's,
Right.
Jalarzi's apprentice and love interest for Abdul, one of our characters in the Iron Brigade. I'm trying to get her to play Mario. I think that would be cool. So, and we'll finish up from 8 p.m. till 12 midnight. Our goal is to raise as much money as we can. It'll be for St. Jude's. We announced that last week. Yes. Join, and good. So there's the Discord link, guys. Brian Saracen has put it in there. Just do it for a minute. Get on there. Do it after the show's over, and trust me, the conversations are cool. All the things going on. I have a Lord Gazumba chat channel with voice, so you can get in there and talk to me via voice if I'm on. You can do that. You can talk to any of the people in the chat channel. And I also threw up little ads on there in addition to the Facebook ads of what we're doing on the Lord Gazumba chat channel. That's a part of it as well. And there's a Legends and Lore chat channel as well that goes on the Greyhawk channel that Anna and Greyhawk might do. So it's really worth it. I'm a plug guy here. So, but our stream, I cannot wait. I'm hoping for next week that we have this ad, that Mark has this ready to go. This what would we call it? Teaser. It's cool.
Yeah, trailer.
The trailer. The first time I saw it, and he shared it with the people in our group, and Brian has seen it. And Anna has seen it, so we want to get some feedback. It's cool. It's really neat. And this is going to be so fun. I know it's 2 months away, but hey, it'll happen like that in a snap. So we're going to have a bunch of fun things we're going to do. Hey, Fraley. Of course, Fraley's one of those guys that gets on right when it's about to end, but that's okay. So our heraldry's up. The Knights of Ulick have a heraldry symbol now. We're going to have all sorts of other things, and Brian's going to work with me on some other cool ideas. And Anna's working with us on building Altamira, and Anna's working with us on our maps. We've reached the big time, guys. I want to say thank you. If we didn't have viewers and we didn't have people who participated in chat, we wouldn't be here to this point. Our viewing average is right at where we are right now. We're running at 2021. If anyone remembers back in September, we were running like an 8 to 10. So we've doubled our viewership in just a couple months. And I'm thankful and proud of what we've done, and that you guys find us interesting and find the 1E, 2E that we're doing is a fun game, And like I said, it doesn't matter if it's 5E, 1E, 2E, it's Greyhawk, and that's the important thing. So, anyone have anything in closing? I think I went over a lot of things. Like I said, we got 4 weeks. You got to hang in there. I'm going to post it. That heraldry symbol we're going to put up. I'm going to put it up in a lot of places. It's going to. I'll probably put it up in the ad. Probably put it up in the event thing. It's got to squeeze down the size on it's weird that you got to put on there. So that's the one thing I hate about Twitch. But we're going to show. And I'm going to hold off on the other ones, but we're going to show some really neat stuff. Any last questions? Any last comments? Brian Saracenas, thanks for coming on, man. Hopefully, you can come on some more times. So next week, next Sunday night's Gabbin, delving into the Paladin. We're going to talk about the beginnings of Paladinhood, our old school Paladins that still exist in the game to this day.
where it went for our classes and the offshoots of Paladin we have, and everyone's favorite bad guy, the anti-Paladin. We're gonna have a nice discussion, kind of like we did tonight, about it. So that's next week. But don't forget tomorrow night, Monday night, 6 p.m. Mark's group is coming up, and the Adventures of Slap continue, and I play in it as well.
Yep.
Yes, it is. Thank you all. Like I said, I'm holding the lines open until if anyone has anything. If not, we're gonna let me see who's on now. Oh, I was like I said, we've rated Greyhawk Channel, I think, enough times. So I think we're just gonna go to a good night screen here. If anyone doesn't have any other questions, thanks, Mark, for coming in on this one.
Oh, sure.
Hey, great. So Naz has never really watched that much on Slap, so he'll be able to. And hey, you get me moderating, man. So instead of Mark moderating on Thursdays, I'm moderating on Mondays. So you're gonna get me moderating with you. So that's cool, man. Really a different type style group, Naz, than you're used to with our Thursday night group. Trust me on that. There's a lot of giggling, there's a lot of laughing, and there's a lot of camaraderie. It's cool. It's a little different, but that's the charm of multiple DMs. To all our subscribers, thanks. To all our VIPs, thanks. To everyone. It's been a wonderful night again, and please just remember this. You can contact us anytime on Discord, on here. Rock sends me notes on here all the time. You can send them to me here. On Cannon Fire on Facebook. You can reach us at any point. I'll see you all tomorrow night. I don't know if my pick will be up, but you'll hear my voice. It just depends on how it's set up. Because I think it's going to be the first time we're going to try Zoom tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be there in person, so you don't have to have multiple people so you can use Zoom. Correct?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. We're going to do our exit screen. And have a great evening. And once again, I'm J.K. Lorgazumba. DM Marcos here. Doesn't matter what it is, old school, new school, 5e, doesn't matter as long as you play Greyhawk. That's all we care about. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one.
From the edge of the sea, from the edge of time, beckons a destination. Ancient, hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your